Lindsay Tanner. She's one of the people who pretended like she cared and wanted to help. But she's done quite a bit to try to traumatize myself and others. Let me tell you about the Corpse Corps in 1979. This is part of what put the mentally ill on the docket for the future. In 1979, in civilian institutions, over 300 mentally ill people died of mysterious causes all across the United States. Also, that same year, nearly 300, like just maybe, I don't know, what was it, like 13 or 14 people short of 300 that were in the military mental asylums also died under mysterious causes. Things like their skulls crushed in, or medical issues with common medical practices that killed a lot of the people who were used as guinea pigs for the treatments. You gotta test it out on somebody before you give it to the public. A lot of that guinea pig testing on the mentally ill was also children in the early, mid, and late 1980s. Different phases, by the way. This is when we came up with a lot of the new wonder drugs. First phases was things like Prozac. And then we get to some of the more modern concoctions thereof. Stuff that's meant to increase the dopamine drip in your brain. Yeah, that's what it does. Gives you the same feeling as cocaine, or at least it's supposed to some degree. When it comes to Corps, what is this? Well, unofficially, it's basically a bunch of doctors and nurses. They didn't work together or anything like that. It's just individuals who thought that mental retards were inferior people and should be put down like dogs. It's not like it was some big master plan orchestrated, like, by Hitler or anything like that. Hitler was already dead. This shit happened in the United States. In 1979, having 600 people, a little over 600 people who were called mentally disabled, killed under mysterious circumstances in just 1 year. Of course, this is a decade after the Summer of Love. It's been 10 years of people, hey, this hippie movement's pretty cool, we kind of like these ideas, and then it eventually became, alright, well, every Tom, Dick, and Harry who's a lazy son of a bitch and wants to chase a pretty girl who's idealistic is now being a lazy son of a bitch, not joining the workforce, doesn't do nothing but smoke weed and fucking scream at people, and yeah, the hippie movement is fucking dead. 1980s, they all sold out and fucking moved into rich people houses in places like Colorado, Boulder, Ithaca, New York, Huntington Beach, California. Your idealistic hippies turned into the ideal capitalists. Or they're still hippies floating around the country waiting for the next wannabe dead show. Yeah, there's a few of them still out here, 80 years old, waiting for the next String Cheese Instant concert. Either you can be an adult and hear what I have to say when I try to speak to you as an adult, or you can treat me like a child, and I will scream very loudly on the internet. Treat me like a child, I can act like a child, but I'll do it publicly. And I'll make sure I know that I am in the right in doing so. For me not having any actual support, a bunch of people who want to talk over me like I'm a fucking retard. And then they want to pretend that because I'm intelligent, I should be able to magically do all this stuff myself. No, if I needed help with it and I asked for help with it, I needed help with it. Telling me to do something that I'm asking for help with doesn't help me to do it. When I need a witness to be present there so that I'm not treated like a fucking bargain basement goddamn animal. Where the fuck are you? You're nowhere to be found. People have no respect for me whatsoever, no respect for my time, no respect for my boundaries. Even if they claim they understand, they will walk right over my boundaries. Guaranteed goddamn teed, they will not like it if I walk over theirs. I'll bide my time and my energy, and I'll speak up when I'm available to do so safely, or relatively safely. A lot of evidence has been destroyed because people didn't give a shit. It's not that it was never there, it's that nobody gave a shit. It's that I had to go in alone every time, and the term mentally ill was used to harm me, to deprive me of all of my rights. And all of you who want to bitch that you went through the same thing, that you want to be a piece of shit because I recorded it. Well, you had your opportunity to come forward with me and work together with me. Instead, you chose to make it about you. Instead of taking that experience and using it for the betterment of all of us, you want to hide like a coward and use it as an excuse to be a coward for the rest of your life. You deserve every bit of abuse that you get because you're a coward. I'm different. I'll accept the responsibility for the shit that I do, because I absolutely do. I do things publicly. I make sure I state my intent before doing so. When I state my intent before going in to talk to these places, and they completely disrespect me and arrest me for trying to turn in the people that I'm told to turn in, this is horrible. It's also illegal. It's illegal for the Nebraska State Patrol to send me to Scott DeCosta so Scott DeCosta can investigate himself. The Nebraska State Patrol wasn't willing to do anything to investigate him, despite the fact that it is, in fact, their jobs, until after one of their own took part in assaulting me, along with Sheriff Scott DeCosta. See, there's evidence, and there's a time limit on that evidence, and when all you do is procrastinate, you show yourself to be a worthless piece of shit. There's a lot of people who pretended to care, but went out of their way to do the most horrible things that they possibly could. And because of that, they ended up on the internet. Not only that, but I gave each of them a taste of equality. How does it feel when I assume the worst in you, and am not willing to hear your side? I don't give a fuck about your side because you don't give a fuck about mine. And if you're abusing your fucking children, there isn't a goddamn thing you can hold over my head to prevent me from turning your ass in. If the cops won't fucking listen to me, I'll tell the whole goddamn world I don't give a fuck. I don't get embarrassed. Most people with Asperger's don't get embarrassed. That's why we're honest. And because we're honest, we are ostracized from youth. From when we first start learning to speak and we first start calling you on your bullshit, you're embarrassed that a child can call you out on your bullshit. That a child can tell that you're a lying sack of shit. In many cases, it's your own child. And they're identifying to you all of your fucking character flaws at 4 or 5 or 6 years old. No wonder you abuse the fuck out of your autistic children. No wonder you try to hide them away from the world. No wonder you abuse them for telling the truth. Neurotypicals are liars. It's ingrained in their brains. That's the difference between somebody with Asperger's and a neurotypical. Our brains are wired for honesty. Your brains are wired for manipulation and lies and trying to get fucking laid. Because you are animals. Oh. Alright. Well, I guess I'm going to go inside here. And I'm going to try to see about fixing this fucking speedometer thing. I don't have the money to fix it, but I got to find out how much it's going to be. Some guy calling himself David Hernandez typed, "Who are you stalking today?" I know a David Hernandez. Goes by Cowboy. He's dead. You're not him. What do we do with these assholes? Hide user on this channel. Blam. He's gone. I can do that on the internet. I can't do that in real life. You guys who were not a part of the situation except to be trolls and bullies and stalkers, every one of you calling me a stalker is stalking me to do that. And why are you stalking me? You're stalking me because of lies. Told by some dude who you like his channel because it's nice and pretty. Or some lady who's got a pretty voice, so you believe anything she says. They don't bother to look this shit up. None of them do. And none of them ask to see my evidence. None of them try to coordinate with me to get that evidence anywhere. No, they just want to sell the same bullshit story. I waste many, many, many days of my life because I need help. It's not that I want it, it's that anyone who is called mentally ill needs a friend or family member to help turn this shit in. If your friends and family members don't care enough to take it fucking seriously, why should the government? That's how my friends and family got Natalie Bollinger and many others killed. They didn't give a shit about me or what I've been going through. They never did, never have. And if I tell them about the abuse I'm going through, they get bored and make it a fucking pissing contest. Fuck this goddamn country and everyone in it. You guys want me to keep your secrets? No. You fucking lied to me. I'm not keeping that a secret. You helped child molesters and rapists get away. I'm not keeping that a secret. You know what's worse than child molesters and rapists? People who help them to get away. That's why I know I don't have a single friend or family member. It's because all of these people are okay with letting child molesters and rapists get away, as long as they don't feel embarrassed.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Hopefully you get her figured out.
I mean, it runs still not straight.
Right.
Yeah.
Y'all are the luckiest people on earth. Nearly everybody else in here is at least some shade of sunburn.
Right. Damn, windows right in my face. I know.
Better high ding than low ding. That hurts my back.
There you go.
It's a horrible joke.
You're out of here now?
Yeah. Well, you're gonna be okay for 15 minutes.
Do you think he's gonna show up at 2:30?
It was pretty close yesterday. It was 3:40, 3:48.
I don't care.
I was gonna ask a couple of real super important questions.
You got yourself up. What's up?
All right, so I'm ugly ass broke hobo in a Honda Civic. It's a 94. The speedometer's got an issue with it, and I haven't had the ability to fix it because I spend all my gas money running to all the services that deny me help. So I needed to see how much the part is, and do you guys know anybody who will fix it for like super cheap or for trade?
What part is it?
I don't know. I just know my speedometer doesn't work. Sometimes it'll work in 4 for 50 or a little bit now, but it
Some sort of transmission.
and that's where the thing that I looked up on the internet makes it so I can't do it. I can't get under my vehicle and my back's too screwed up even if I could lift it. Yes, sir.
Real good trailer, but it just sat around.
Well, the part
I hope that
134.
Been in the garage. I hope that was it was on the back of the green.
I looked it up last time in Wyoming, I believe it was. It was 216 for the truck they said it was.
No.
So you're getting closer to being down.
Too old for it.
Right? Maybe if I had somewhere else where there's even more hateful people.
Vietnam was going.
Southern California, there's a lot of hateful people there. There's probably a cheaper part
I
there.
was in the Marine Corps Induction Center. And they were like,
I
just
guess
get ready for it.
that's
It's all
not
we
happening.
wear. They come in and they said, everybody's getting attention. They rolled in the TV. And they should repeal.
You know, if there's a
A1A, I was going
tip or
right
trick
there.
that
And I just went.
maybe a way to get it out and clean it and see if that's all you need.
Honestly, I
Just like one day earlier.
that it's killed.
I wouldn't have hit, but then they
Cable got
put a
stuck up.
moratorium on it. No, you didn't even have to sign up for civil service for 2 years back. Like that way.
Really couldn't tell you just by looking at the part. It looks like a wire thing, maybe the connector got pinched
We
or
were just getting
something.
ready to take Bill's, Laura had her head shaved.
Straight one
We're
off.
standing there.
Yeah,
and he
because
said,
then you got a wire that goes in here. That's what.
They didn't give you your hair back?
Okay,
But them two drill instructors that were there, they had been in on them, you know, and the guys that were, and they went, and they got a deuce and a half truck, it was down in National Guard Armory where they're doing that. And they, went and got a deuce and a half truck, and they went into the base there, and they got about 50 cases of beer, and they got all those guys in that room, loaded up in that, and drove out on the beach with those big bonfires.
Thing, and it's got this long black
That
cord
sounds
that
like a
looks
good
like
way to add
the
more.
thing on
Yeah.
a bicycle
It
brake.
still
or a
was going
fixer.
on, but I didn't have to go.
Yeah,
It goes
that's
with
nice.
the little thing in the
Yeah.
dash and
Me and
the whole-
a couple other of my
it's
friends
like
that
an
I
hour-long video.
hung out with that dropped out of high school, we were old enough and it's like instantly.
Yeah, no problem. You have a good day.
We got a little bit, got dropped about a little scrap slowly. And,
This is something I bitch about every month. I spend all this money running around. I have no money to do anything for myself because all the money that I have to do something for myself is spent running around all these services that don't do shit for me. Except waste my fucking time. I'm trying to turn in crimes committed against me. Long-term ongoing abuse. I can't afford to keep fixing my fucking vehicle. I can't afford it because they are eating up my money intentionally. Anyway, there's no way I'll be able to afford that part. The crimes committed against me are ignored everywhere I go. Crimes committed by the police, crimes committed by the drug addicts, and of course they're both very opposing sides, and they're both very much the same. The hobos kind of look out for each other so they don't get in trouble with the cops just for existing. The cops work together so they don't get in trouble for breaking the law against hobos. Poor people say, you don't go to the cops. You never go to the cops. Cops are bad. If you go to the cops, you're a rat. You're a narc. You're a snitch. Snitches get stitches or end up in ditches, and so on and so on. Now, for me, I'm not allowed to say that saying, or one of you will pretend like I'm threatening to kill you. Lots of other people are allowed to. These are constitutionally protected. Well, unless you're called mentally ill, in which case everything that you say is a threat against everyone else's life, or assumed to be, and you are assumed to be guilty no matter what. Anything that anybody claims must be the truth because they said it about you. Fuck, that's fucking nuts, isn't it? I have valid reasons for being pissed off at people. No matter how much they want to get angry at me for being pissed off, I have every right to be pissed off. And if I give them a tiny, tiny taste of what I go through, the reactions that it took me over a year to have any reactions of that sort towards these pieces of shit, that's their first go-to. When you make bad assumptions about somebody, that's on you, not your victim. And they are your victim at that point because you're not listening to them. You got your own internal monologue and you won't shut the fuck up and listen. You claim that you can't. No, you absolutely can. I am capable of sitting down for a full hour and listening to somebody speak. I choose not to. I choose to make sure that I interrupt people now. I choose to show people how fucking frustrating it is when they treat me that way. I give people equality and they don't fucking like it. Then I got the drug addicts. They stick together. You got the cops and they stick together. I'm not a cop or a drug dealer or a drug user. I don't fucking fit in with any of them. To the cops, I'm a fucking hobo, a junkie. To most of society, I'm one of those as well. To the druggie community, I might as well be a cop. So the cops don't listen to me, and the druggies ain't gonna listen to me. If the druggies don't get what they want right when they want it, they'll take it out on me. If the cops don't get what they want right when they want it, they'll take it out on me. And then they'll tell me I have to be patient. or send me on a wild fucking goose chase for help that doesn't exist unless you have a friend or family member who cares. Shit, good luck finding somebody I'm really fucked up on drugs right at this moment. My grandma didn't mess with drugs, but she's dead. My grandpa, I don't know what the fuck he messed with. He was a chimo and I stayed the fuck away from him. He's dead too. My dad claims he doesn't drink or do drugs anymore. I don't fucking care. His drug of choice is power and money. Primarily money. That makes him easier to deal with than a lot of my predators. He just cares about money. He saw a movie about an autistic guy once, played by Dustin Hoffman. The movie's called Rain Man. And he thought, from when I was 9 years old, and went and saw a neurologist, and he was explaining about autism and Asperger's and how a lot of my traits coincide with Asperger's. Explained the whole comorbid thing, but at the time he called it something different. Basically coexisting is what it means. Tourette syndrome is commonly associated with people who have autism. ADHD is commonly associated with people who have autism. OCD is commonly associated with people who have autism. Echolalia is commonly associated with people who have autism. There's a lot of really positive autism traits. But we're in abusive environments and you don't care that they're abusive. To you, it's not abusive. To you, it doesn't bug you, so it's not harmful to us. You know what? If somebody is allergic to bumblebees and you are expecting them to go, well, with you every day to go tend the bees, they're fucking deathly afraid of the bees because the bees could fucking kill them. They could get overwhelmed by bees, or one could slip into their suit. For you, it's not lethal. For them, it is. For you, getting stung by a bee doesn't result in a ride to the hospital. For them, it does. When you want to use assumptions of somebody's disabilities, or take their predator slander as if it must be truth, without looking at both sides, without looking at all evidence, this is disgusting. I'm tired of being abused because Americans are cowards. Not all Americans are cowards. At least this is what I keep getting told, but I keep seeing differently. A lot of the people that I went to that got some of my predators to stop are people that aren't willing to go to the cops. Like Chris Kurth's brother Cody. Cody Kurth wasn't willing to go to the cops. Chris Kurth was. Oh, hell yes. When the guy that he came out to Sandy Fromm's farm with, who threatened to kill me, when that guy went home with him and stole a bunch of his stuff, what did Chris Kurth do? He called the cops. Of course he did. He's friends with Scott Constantine. He's friends with Leslie Snell. I would expect nothing less out of these filthy urchins. Leslie Snell, right. Her husband's nice. Just because somebody's nice doesn't mean they're not a predator. I just lost. Like a pedophile, you look like a rapist, blah blah blah. You don't care about the evidence. You care about looks and popularity. You harmed me because people lied about me. You didn't bother to find out if those things were true or not. Now, since I just had money fly away from me down here, I am looking for my money. Hopefully it wasn't the 20. That's what I was gonna use to pay somebody to help me. I told money flying away. Shit. It's looking like I'm fucked. If it's out here and blowing in the wind, it's going to be going too fast for me to catch it. This terrain is pretty uneven. It's kind of like up at camp. It's pretty decently leveled, but it's not a straightaway. And it hurts to impact with the ground. Alright, I walked all the way to this back fence here and I haven't seen it. Well, I'm pretty straight, so it should be. Hell, it might have been right through this fence here. Okay. So let's. I guess I'll duck behind these bushes here. And I'll see if it was the 20, because that'd be a pretty big fucking bummer. Tag. It was a $10 bill. That ain't no biggie. That's not as big of a hit. Hopefully it's a hobo who finds it. People don't want to stop to listen to the reality check. They want to interrupt every time I tell them about the issues that I got. To either tell me there's nothing they can do. Well, first of all, you can listen without interruption. There is something you can do. And once you know what's going on, then you can actually speak up for me. There's a lot of people who wanted to speak up for me because they knew me, but they didn't ask me what was going on. They didn't try to turn it in with me. They wanted to tell me, oh, I do this and I do that. Well, did you take that shit to court with me? Did you try to turn that in with me? No, you fucking didn't. None of you did. Anyway. Life happens. Here's the problem with not having a friend or family member who's gonna fucking listen to understand. They just want to argue with me and pretend like they know everything already. I have to repeat myself over and over again because obviously they don't hear me. Their suggestions show that they're not hearing me, which means that they're making the assumption that, well, whatever they got rolling around in their head must be the truth, no matter what I say. When you've already decided, don't pretend to give a shit when you've already decided, without looking at either side. When you have somebody's guilt, it's a pretty fucked thing to do. You treat somebody right. Why do I fight for trans rights despite the fact that I'm not trans? Because they're still people. But I do not agree with excess. When people are dying of life-threatening illnesses and they're being told that they have to take a back seat to somebody who God gave them the wrong part, and we can't pay for your son's cancer treatment because some girl thinks that she should have been born with a penis. So we're going to have insurance that covers gender transformation before we have insurance that covers many types of cancers. when we have people who are going through real trauma, actual trauma, and you're offended because God made a mistake, well, there's lots of parents that wish their children didn't have Down syndrome or autism or Tourette's. There's lots of parents that wish that their children didn't get cancers, leukemias, lymphomas, melanomas. Between a plastic surgeon and an oncologist, only one of those professions is necessary. Of course, then we want to push well, what about these ugly people who are so horribly mangled? And if we can make them prettier and improve their lives, well, you know what? There's lots of people who are not pretty. I'm not pretty. I know people with half their fucking face burnt off who are married. Not literally burnt off. It's not like there's just a charred skull underneath exposing half their head. No, they just... Fire happens. Just because you're not physically attractive doesn't necessarily mean that nobody's going to be interested in you. But it also comes down to, are you interested in them? Now, how many women are blatantly and openly pushing real heavy that men owe it to them to give them a chance? No, we fucking don't. There is too much to lose from even being friends with one of you if you don't get what you want right when you want it. There is too much risk of, if you have a drug addiction that you're trying to hide. Like Brandy Fish when she married Jason Jeffson. He wasn't okay with that. And a wife should be honest with her husband, shouldn't she? And a husband should be honest with his wife. Meanwhile, Brenda Dickinson told me a bunch of stuff about her husband that wasn't my business because she couldn't tell him. Her excuse was that some battles were just not worth fighting. And then she let me fight those battles. Like when she needed my help or somebody's help cleaning her house and working on various stuff through the house that her husband wasn't getting to because he was working. So she'd hire me to do it, and then I'd do the work. And of course, if I do the work, then I get to eat dinner and drink coffee. I get paid for the day, and I get to sit down with Brenda Dickinson and play computer games while we talk. It didn't happen very often that we got to sit down and play video games because as soon as Dennis got home, it was a fucking non-stop goddamn complaint department. One of his wife's biggest fucking complaints is that he kept running off all of her friends. He's very selfish about his time with her. He believes that she owes every moment of her time to him because he's the husband. But he knew when she got married to him that it was a compromise marriage. It wasn't because they were madly in love with each other and head over heels. It was to consolidate finances and improve taxes. To sit there and work together as a team is pretty important. But also for Brenda Dickinson to swear me to secrecy about working and not tell her husband because she doesn't want to have the backlash. And then he got home and he wanted to fucking bitch that I was there, bitch that I was drinking his coffee and his food. No, Brenda paid for some of that. He paid for some of that. And I fucking earned it. And he come home and he bullied me out of the $40 I made for the day. Insisted that I bring him a thing of coffee for all the coffee I drank that day. Fuck. And the whole while, I'm not supposed to explain to him that I earned that money. Brenda Dickinson heard it happening. But like she was saying, some battles just ain't worth fighting. So she let me fight her battle. Her battle. She's the one who should have been honest with her husband. Instead of swearing me to secrecy and letting her husband bully me out of that money. He did that more than once, otherwise I'd have been on the road to go see Miss Natalie when she had originally asked. Well, not when she had originally asked. When she originally asked, she was still in Colorado. When she'd made the call, more than one call in a week's time, about going to see her, and when I was coming to see her, she eventually called me and told me she was going to kill herself if I wasn't already on the road. Now, I did actually have the money to get to Virginia at that point. I just didn't realize it. I made it there on a wing and a prayer. And some wheeling and dealing and some selling of things that I didn't want to sell. And I don't mean illicit materials, just things that were of high value to me morally. They were very sentimental. But you know what? Sentimental things are nothing in comparison with human lives. People kill themselves because you don't care. Some of them calling themselves Craxy Cratchid. Just got themselves banned from my channel. Or hidden from my channel. How to use her on this channel. I have a YouTube channel because people in real life don't listen. They treat me like I'm mentally retarded. As soon as they find out I'm autistic, it's I must be wrong, I must be retarded. Everybody knows better than me because I'm a social retard. I'm really not. When it comes to sex and women, yeah, I'm socially retarded in that area. I have zero fucking experience. When it comes to the mentally disturbed, the twisted, manipulative, and bad fucking cops, yeah, I got first world experience, first hand experience. I know their tricks because I've lived through them, and so have many others who have spoken on my channel. Of course, many of them are angry that I recorded it, but I don't give a shit. People are dead because they are cowards. When your excuse is that you don't want to be targeted, well, you should have thought about that before sticking your fucking nose in it. Now, this Lindsay Tanner lady, like many of the women who offered to help and ended up playing head games, they admit repeatedly that they get off on doing it. And I speak up about these web sleuths and the things that they do and the lives that they destroy. And how they target people who are easy to take advantage of because of a desperate situation. The police and my therapist knowingly, willingly, and intelligently put my life at risk for financial gain and to prevent themselves from getting in trouble when they committed, well, at first, misdemeanors. It doesn't become a felony until you try to hide it, until you try to cover it up, or until you retaliate against the victim for speaking up. Then you become a felon. In many states like Colorado, it's not a mandated reporter law that applies to the public. It's a bunch of laws that are supposed to protect disabled people. Not mandated reporter laws for citizens, like Nebraska has. No, this is different. This is a whole bunch of different types of criminal charges that can be pressed against mandated reporters or the public if they see or hear a crime. And see, that's one of the things that mandated reporters are trying to play on. Oh, well, it's only a crime if I blah, 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 blah. No, not reporting. Failure to report is a crime. The things that you're talking about are a different set of crimes, such as abusing your power. Now, there's guidelines that are pretty specific. But the police, they'll lie to you. They'll lie to hospitals. You try to turn in a bad police officer, it's a felony for you to be sent to that police officer. But when the dispatch or the people at their office pretend that they don't understand the English language and they send you to that officer, they already have a lie in mind that they're going to tell if you tell on them. Lucky for me, I fucking recorded those pieces of shit. And the lie that they want to tell doesn't work when there's actual evidence of the situation that shows that they fucking lied. But the reality is, if you don't care, it does work. Court of law does not work based on the law. It works based on public opinion. But the opinion of a public that's lied to is not a valid opinion at all. If people tell you that all kitty cats are purple, and the government says so, therefore it makes it true, you're a special kind of stupid. These web sleuths are dangerous people. They are manipulators, and most of them are psychopathic, remorseless. Most of them are people like Lindsay Tanner, who pretends to care when she wants to manipulate. But in reality, she's a cold-hearted person who revels in the misery of others. I'm stuck here wasting a whole nother day, when there's other things that I need to get done. But then again, I need help to get those things done, because I can't do them for myself. Same as I gotta wait for Chris, because I need his help with things I can't do for myself because of the term mentally ill. Someone has to back me up. It's not just the harm against me, it's also the efforts that I made to turn that harm in. And for my predators to blow me off and pretend that I never made an effort. A lot of people are mad at me because I supposedly slandered their names. Oh no. I repeated what the cops said, what they wrote. What was allowed in my court date, because none of you pieces of shit ever tried to help me turn this in. If what the cops said was slander, and you're claiming I slandered your name by repeating it, keep in mind, you assumed my guilt based on slander by other people too. You didn't bother to find out what was going on. You were too busy telling me how to think and feel. When I tell you how to think and feel, it doesn't feel very good, does it? Well, I'm able to make you feel that way. How much power do I have over you? I know exactly how to treat you how you treat me. If I tell you that ignoring me and talking over me and telling me how to think and feel is what makes me want to kill myself, and the most important thing is to keep in contact, and you promise to do that and you can't keep your word, that does hurt. When everybody does that, that definitely hurts. When somebody tells you that they would jump off of a 10-story building if you dangled a spider in their face, and you dangle a spider in their face, if they jump off that building because you tried to push them to suicide, it is your fault that they committed suicide. You intentionally pushed them to commit suicide. Then you just pretend that anything that you didn't want to hear, that person didn't say, and therefore you're blissfully ignorant and you didn't know. Well, that's why I record it. It's not that I didn't say it, it's that you wouldn't fucking listen. You had your own assumptions and your own fantasy world in your fucking head, and you let that override your judgment. And that's how you ended up on my YouTube channel. If it hadn't been for you predatory pieces of shit, I wouldn't even have a YouTube channel. Why do I have a YouTube channel that I speak on? Because Natalie Bollinger got a fucking 9mm through her goddamn brain December 29th of 2017. God bless America, right? All these people who say they want to help, but they can't for whatever reason. Well, they need to come forward about the fact that I came to them for help, and they need to explain their reasons for never coming forward. If you're going to tell me every time that it's because your kid's sick, you need to tell the courts that. With me. Because if you don't, they're going to pretend that I didn't try to get help. When I'm angry with you for wasting my fucking time, keep in mind, you wasted my time, not the other way around. You pretended to care, not the other way around. When you told me about the shit that you're going through, I do care. That's the difference between me and most of you predators who pretended that you would help. You became predatory because you were embarrassed. Most of you started off predatory. You did not have good intent. People like Miss Tanner. What are the chances that she uses her disabled children to get free money and sympathy as often as possible? And then she gets onto Facebook and she brags and she brags and she brags about being such a manipulative and fucking twisted bitch. Women are allowed to do that. If a woman pretends that a man might do any such thing, he's going to jail. Whereas a woman can actually do those things and brag about it openly on TikTok and YouTube and not see a day in fucking jail, not even see a day in fucking court. Because the American public is just going to assume that a poor pretty girl must be the victim and anything with a penis must be bad. We've got this Hollywood idea that anybody that shows tics, like they have Tourette syndrome, must be a serial killer. Ooh. Y'all are a bunch of sick shits.